offerings as a companion piece to that. Once we got started, we realized that each of our 9 very distinct travel regions all have very strong stories to tell with unique stories, unique facts about each section of our state. So what we had done was worked with Stonewall Marketing, and I'd like to introduce and recognize Tom Crooks and his staff at Stonewall. They have done a marvelous job working with us to put together artwork and a script and a lot of the animation that you will see to go into this. Then we worked with Lemuel Muniz and Jonathan Stopiak, filmmakers, and put together an introduction overall and then an individual video for each of our 9 travel regions. One of the things we felt very strongly about was that we should have recognized historians to check our work to make sure that we were presenting this very important story for the state of West Virginia appropriately. And while these gentlemen are not with us today, I would like to thank Rick Wolf of the Clarksburg area and Hunter Lesser from Elkins. If you're familiar with Hunter and his book, Rebels at the Gate, it is a fantastic history of that period for the state. And they served as our statewide consultants, so to speak, and gave us a lot of comfort in knowing that we could call on their expertise. And they were absolutely marvelous to volunteer their time. We also thought it was really important for us to tell the story that we involved all areas of the state, and more importantly than being in the area, to invite local historians to work with us, again volunteering their time and expertise, and we had one in each of our travel regions. I am very happy to tell you that we were lucky enough to have Ray Swick of Blennerhassett State Park to work with us here for the Mid-Ohio Valley region. And Ray, if you would like to say a few words for us here this morning, please go ahead.
I always have to adjust the microphone. Thank you, Ms. Carver, very much. I wasn't expecting to say anything, so this is going to be very off the cuff. But we are blessed here in the Mid-Ohio Valley with a richness of history that very few locales possess. When you stop back to think that our history stretches back to 13,000 years before the birth of Christ, when the prehistoric Indians are first known to have settled here on a more or less permanent basis, and has continued on up until almost the present day, every decade almost, every epoch contains exciting history. The Japanese have a saying, what you see every day you no longer see. And I think that for too long local folks took for granted not only their historical heritage, but their natural heritage. You look out here in our backyard is one of the great, most beautiful, and most famous rivers in the world, the Ohio River, and that is what brought our history to us. This area was on the national map from the very beginning. When Marietta was founded in 1788, it was, in the words of Linda Showalter, the archivist at Marietta College, the Hollywood of its day, because all the Eastern newspapers, which was then mainly the United States, carried regularly stories that were written about Marietta. You could hardly pick up an issue without someone having written from Marietta telling what they were doing. And people wanted to know about that in the East. It was a household word. Marietta was proposed on the floor of Congress to be the capital of the United States. And down this way you have Blennerhassett Island, being nationally famous, internationally famous from 1807 on. You have the oil and gas industry, which sparked national interest right after, during and right after this, and before the Civil War. You have the Battle of Buffington's Island, which was a nationally known naval engagement, and the list just goes on and on. In the last 30 years, this area has seen a renaissance of interest in local history and correspondingly efforts to preserve it. We are now in the golden age of historic preservation, at least for the Mid-Ohio Valley. And it's folks that have contributed, like folks who contributed to this little short movie we're going to see, who made that possible. So I hope that everyone who sees it will be inspired to do their bit to preserve local history. And thank you all very much for coming today.